Hey fashionistas! Today we're taking this vintage pleated dress and giving it an updated look. I'll take you through the steps I took to transform it, plus show you 3 fabulous ways to style it. And wait till you see how I incorporated the belt buckle into the redesign. Stay tuned and let's jump right in. First, I deconstructed the dress, taking apart the waist to separate the skirt from the top. I also removed the collar as well. I was a little worried about the pleats opening up, but luckily there was a row of basting stitches at the top keeping them together. We're going to set the skirt aside for now and work on altering the top first. The shoulders were much too wide, so I needed to shorten the shoulder seams. It also had these pleats that gave it a boxy silhouette and made the shoulders appear even wider. So I went ahead and removed them. In doing that, I now had all this extra fabric. The shoulder seams measured 9 inches and my shoulder measured 5, which meant I needed to take in 4 inches. To do that, I folded 3 smaller pleats along the shoulder seam. Once I was happy with it, I remeasured the seam to make sure it was 5 inches wide. This included seam allowance to finish the neckline. The shoulders did have pads that I wanted to keep, so I popped them back in to do a quick try on. Here's a better look at what I did. When compared to the other side, you can see how much I had to take in. To secure the pleats, I sewed down the middle following the shoulder seams. Next, I altered the center front to remove the button opening. But first, I ironed the neckline and hem to remove the old seam lines. I then took one side and laid it out flat with the facing turned outwards, then used my curve ruler to taper it off into a V-neck instead. Afterwards, I matched and pinned both front halves together to cut the other side. Before finishing the front, I wanted to make a quick adjustment to the neckline. For me, it was a little too wide, so I created a pleat in the center back to take in a couple inches. After securing the box pleat, I folded the raw edge under twice, approximately 1/4 inch, then sewed from the hem all the way around the neck to the other side. Next, I went ahead and shortened the hem to waist length. I made the hem a little over 1 inch wide to add a 1-inch elastic to cinch the waist. I only wanted the elastic in the back, so I secured the ends of the elastic at the side seams. As for the sleeves, they were a little too long, so I removed the cuffs. After figuring out the new length, I ironed the fold, then removed the extra fabric, leaving 1 inch behind to finish the hem. I folded the allowance twice to form a channel, then sewed, leaving an opening to add a 1/2 inch elastic. One last thing I did to the top, and that was to overlap the front pieces and sew them closed at the hem. For the skirt portion of the dress, I decided to leave the length as is and add an elastic waist. In order for me to form the waistband, I first needed to secure the pleats. To do that, I sewed 5 rows of basting stitch. I planned on using a 1-inch elastic, so I sewed each row 5/8 inch apart. Afterwards, I folded the 3rd row over on the wrong side and pressed the fold. Next, I turned the first row under, then pinned and sewed, leaving an opening to insert the elastic. At this point, I finished the waist like I normally would, feeding the elastic through, stitching the ends together, and closing the waistband. Now for the part that you've been waiting for. I had this idea to redesign the dress with the buckle as the focal point and make it where I could convert the dress into 2 pieces. This is what I came up with. First, I cut below the seam that secures the buckle to the belt. I did this so I could use that piece below the buckle to add a couple snap closures. I felt it would be difficult to install the snaps through all those layers, so I chose to use the belt loop instead. After securing the snaps, I hand sewed the loop closed to keep the snaps from moving around. The other side of the snaps, I installed a new strip of tulle tape and hand sewed it to the front of the skirt waist. Now that I have everything ready to go, let me show you how it all comes together. First, I gather the center front of the top, then pull it through the buckle with the metal pin facing downwards. Afterwards, I lift the pin and loop the fabric over it, then let gravity do the rest. I could stop here and wear it as a two-piece or convert it into a dress in a snap. This dress is truly a versatile piece and easily one of my favorite remakes so far. I was inspired by the gold buckle to pair it with another one of my favorites, these DIY boots. I'll link them here. That wraps it up for today's video. I hope you were able to take away something from this tutorial that you can apply to a future project. Speaking of future projects, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's to come. Stay stylish. Until next time.